Honk those horns, honk those horns. Count every vote, honk those horns. Honk those horns. Honk those horns, count every vote. If you think every vote has to be counted in this election, honk your horns. We're here today, not because we want to be here, but we're here because we have to be here.
That's right.
Because people in power are trying to usurp the democratic process. I'm 66 years old. I've never heard a president declare that he won the election before even a little bit of the votes were counted. I mean, he didn't even wait for like half the votes. Last night, Trump said he won the election before the majority of the votes had been counted. Last night, he said that people who had mailed in their ballots had violated the law. You can't make this up. Honk your horns, honk those horns. Thank you, honk those horns. If you think every vote has to be counted, honk those horns.
I don't have a damn horn. At least not here. It's over with.
The votes are still coming in. Millions of votes have not yet been counted. But Donald Trump has sent lawyers into various states to get judges to rule that the counting should be halted. The counting should stop before millions of votes have been counted. Millions of votes have not been counted in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin. They're still counting votes in Georgia, in South Carolina. Honk those horns, honk those horns, honk those horns, honk those horns, honk those horns. If you think every vote must be counted, honk those horns. Millions of votes. There's some states won't even start counting until Monday. Honk those horns. We have a medieval system of voting in the 21st century. We clearly have to modernize and reform the current voting process, because how come some states have already counted most of their ballots, and some states won't start till Monday? That's crazy. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. If you think every vote must be counted. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Trump must go. Honk those horns. So we're here today to demand that every vote be counted. Honk those horns. That's right, honk those horns. Count every vote, honk those horns. That's right. That's right. We have to protect the democratic process. Honk those horns. Now when I say the word fascism, I think I don't have to explain it to you. Fascism is when somebody declares they won the election before the majority of votes have been counted. That's a simple explanation, right? That'll do for today. I know some of you would like the more complex explanation, but not today. Honk those horns, honk those horns. Count every vote, honk those horns. Thank you, Transit. Honk those horns. Count every vote, honk those horns. Honk those horns. We're here today. Honk those horns, honk those horns. We're here today to say that the election should be decided by the voters and not by the courts. Because that's what Trump is trying to do. He's trying to get a Supreme Court to which he personally has appointed 3 judges. 3, personally. He wants the Supreme Court to declare who the winner is. Honk those horns, honk those horns. Thank you, honk those horns. Trump must go, honk those horns. Count every vote, honk those horns. Honk those horns, honk those horns. Thank you, honk those horns. Thank you. Trump must go. Honk those horns. We don't know what the future will bring. Today is November the 4th. The Electoral College doesn't even meet till December the 19th. And for the benefit of the people who are passing by, because I know everybody who's holding a sign knows this, we don't elect the president. The Electoral College elects the president. So far, over 130 million people have cast ballots, most of whom think they elect the president. You drop your mask, Saeed. I think that's your mask. No? Oh, okay. Okay. Honk those horns. Thank you. Honk those horns. Trump must go. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Yes, we're here today to demand that every vote be counted. Every ballot that's been mailed in must be counted. We must not settle for anything less. Honk those horns, honk those horns. Trump must go, honk those horns.
Let's go.
Got to go. That's right, Trump has got to go, honk those horns. Who would have thought in the 21st century we'd be standing out here talking about every vote must be counted? Lord have mercy. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Trump must go. Honk those horns. Every vote must be counted. Honk those horns. Must not settle for anything less. Who would have thought after the Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Act? Honk those horns. Honk those horns. That we'd be here in the 21st century talking about every vote must be counted. This is almost worse than 1955. In 1955, they were just, honk those horns, thank you, Transit, honk those horns. In 55, they was just trying to deny black people the right to vote. Now they're trying to deny everybody the right to vote. Like, he don't want to count none of the ballots. 100 million people, more than 100 million people voted by mail or absentee ballot. 100 million, broke all kind of records. Trump is going to try to stop the counting of the votes.
Sorry.
Honk those horns, honk those horns. Honk those horns. How many of you knew that Supreme Court Justices Roberts, Kavanaugh, and newly appointed Amy Coney Barrett, Coney Barrett, were on Bush's team, Bush's legal team in 2020 to argue that the ballot should stop being counted in Florida. Amy Coney Barrett, Roberts, and Kavanaugh were all lawyers on the Bush team in 2020. Honk those horns.
Honk those horns.
Honk those horns. I mean, when you dig just a little bit, the connections are amazing. Honk those horns. Like, we're fighting some of the same people that were around, like they were around, some of them in the 1960s. Some of the same people that's still around. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. We're here today to demand that every vote be counted. Trump is going to try to steal the election. He's going to try to use the Supreme Court. If that doesn't work, he's going to try to use the Electoral College. Do you know that state legislatures can actually replace electors in the Electoral College because the electors are products of state legislature, not necessarily of the popular vote? Honk those horns. Honk, thank you, Transit. Honk that horn. Every vote must be counted. Count every vote. Every vote must be counted. Every vote must be counted. Trump must go, and he will if every vote is counted. That's why he doesn't want every vote counted, because he knows he's done. honk those horns. He's done. And he gonna face the wrath of Letitia, Attorney General Letitia James. Honk your horn. She's waiting for him. She gonna ambush him. She gonna jump him in the alley. Soon as he come out the White House, she gonna jump him. Honk those horns. She gonna jump him in the alley. That's why he don't want to leave the White House. As long as he in the White House, they can't come for him. But as soon as he leave, it's over. I mean, who is it? Who do you know has been sued by 4,000 business people? I couldn't even believe that number when I heard. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Honk those horns. When democracy is under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back. When democracy is under attack, what do? That's right. Gonna fight back. We're not gonna roll over. We are not gonna roll over. No, sir. Honk your horns for justice. Honk your horns, count every vote. I got mixed up, I thought it was Justice Monday. Count every vote, honk those horns. Honk those horns, count every vote. We must protect our democratic rights, our voting rights. Honk those horns, honk those horns. Trump must go. If they count every vote, he's gone. I'm telling you. They are spending millions of dollars on lawyers. Honk those horns. Honk those horns, honk those horns. Thank you, Transit. Honk those horns. That's why they can't call Nevada. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. The lawyers went into honk those horns. Honk those horns. Thank you. Honk those horns. They were going to call Nevada last night for Biden, but the lawyers went in. They went into Nevada. And they holding up in Nevada. They trying to mess around so it won't be blue. Biden needs 22. And it's over. I'm just scared. You know, I don't know where the South is now. Where's the South? Because them red states was going all the way up to Canada. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Honk those horns. You see that map? Them red states was going from Mississippi, from Alabama, all the way up to Montana. Montana, doesn't that border Canada? Montana borders Canada. Man. See, now you see how you come to a civil war, right? When whole societies get divided. Because it's not just Trump. If you think it's just Trump, you're sadly mistaken. Honk those horns. Trump is doing what he's doing because he know he got 65 million people behind him.
Come on now. Tell the truth, Chairman.
He's not. Because if he was by himself, he couldn't do it.
No.
65 million people in America are down with Trump.
That's right.
Think about that. Honk your horns. Count every vote. Honk those horns. Trump must go. Honk those horns. Count every vote. And what I don't understand, I mean, we can cut the cake a whole lot of different ways. But what is it? That Trump actually got some people of color to vote for him. He got some black people.
Tons of them, tons of them.
He got some Latinos.
Oh, yeah.
He got some Asians.
Come on now.
What's with that?
I don't know. You're down with
Somebody had to help me. Maybe I'm too idealistic, right? I'm not looking at the class divisions, right? In these different groups. But I'm telling you, I'm hard pressed. Honk your horns. Count every vote. Count every vote. Count every vote. Count every vote. Honk those horns. Thank you, thank you. Count every vote. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Count every vote. So Trump is going to try to steal it through the Supreme Court. If that doesn't work, he's going to try to manipulate the Electoral College. Now, how can he do that? State legislatures can actually appoint a set of electors. They could actually pass a law and say that the electors chosen by the political parties are not going to be the electors we're going to appoint. So a Republican state, because you know, you could have a situation, right, where the governor of a state is Republican, but the majority of people actually voted Democrat. So when they vote Democrat, when they vote for the presidential candidate, that automatically picks the electors. But the state legislature could step in and actually say, no, we're not going to do it this way. The state legislature is going to appoint a set of electors. So a lot can happen between now and December 19th. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Count every vote. And if for some strange reason Biden gets 269 electoral votes and Trump gets 269 and it's a tie, then it's thrown into the House of Representatives by I believe that's the 12th Amendment. It's thrown into the House of Representatives. 17, that's all he needs. Honk those horns. Honk those horns, honk those horns, honk those horns. Preserve democracy, honk those horns. So, if there's a tie in the Electoral College, it goes to the House of Representatives. But what happens is the House? Is it one representative, one vote? No. It's one state, one vote. So, honk those horns, honk those horns. So if New Jersey has 14 congressional representatives, they cast one vote for the whole state. Here's the problem. Republicans control more states than Democrats. So if it's thrown into the House of Representatives, the House could decide for Trump. Say again? Right. 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 So there's like 4 from 31 is 27 plus 19, 27 is 46, right? So there's 46 days between now and the 19th of December. The 19th of December is when the Electoral College meets to decide who it is, who's going to be president. A lot can happen between now and then. And if you think Trump is just going to give up when Biden gets to the 270 votes, you dreaming. What did Frederick Douglass say? Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand.
Right.
It never did and it never will.
Got that right.
They might have to escort Trump out of the White House. They might have, D.C. police might have to go in there and get him and bring him out. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Honk those horns. This is a good lesson, though. This is a good civics lesson, right? Because we would never know this much about the Electoral College. I mean, I know about the Electoral College, but I couldn't stand here and talk all about it like I am now.
Exactly.
So Trump has educated us, or educated me, to the cracks in the system. Honk those horns. Because nothing he's doing is actually illegal. He's using the aspects of the system to push his way through. Because that's what the Constitution says. The Constitution says if there's a tie in the Electoral College, it goes to the House. It's all in the Constitution. Honk those horns. Trump must go. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Honk those horns, honk those horns. Count every vote, count every vote. Honk those horns, count every vote. Honk those horns. So we'll see what tricks they got up their sleeve. What people have been talking about, how quiet it's been. Did y'all read how the New York Times article in New York City, the people were boarding up their stores because they think it's going to be problems? Atlantic City Press of New Jersey, in Atlantic City they boarding up the stores because you know the Klan all down there in South Jersey. That's Klan country. Honk those horns and Trump country. But it's one and the same. Honk those horns. I had to argue with some people about Trump, right? They said, what's the difference between Trump and Biden? I said, well, the Ku Klux Klan and David Duke endorsed Trump. That was enough for me. What else do I need to know? What else? We've been fighting police brutality all year long. What did Trump say to Biden during the debate? He said, Biden, all the police support me. And he wasn't lying. Or all the police organizations, the 355,000 member Fraternal Order Police endorsed Trump. The New Jersey Police Benevolent Association endorsed Trump. The National Association of Police Organizations endorsed Trump. That's enough for me. You can hold the book. You can hold Woodard's book. I'll read that another time. Honk those horns, honk those horns. Trump must go. Count every vote. That's right, count every vote. Count every vote. I've seen 10 presidents since Eisenhower. I'm old enough to remember Eisenhower. When I was in South 17th Street School, kids was coming to school with Eisenhower buttons on in 1960. I like Ike. They was coming to school with I like Ike buttons on. I have never heard a president say that he would not commit to a peaceful transfer of power. Honk those horns. The United States better not say nothing else to any other country about peaceful transfer of power. How we gonna tell them? And we won't commit to it here. Honk those horns. See, for 50 years, they were able to submerge these contradictions. Now the contradictions just busting loose. Honk those horns. Contradictions just busting loose all over the place. Honk those horns, honk those horns. Trump must go. We're here today. I'm so glad that those of you who have come out today. I thank God for you. Because I would feel kind of bad out here by myself. I would still do it, but I wouldn't feel good about it. It's always better when somebody with you, when you got somebody right next to you fighting, you know? Honk those horns. We won't know who the president is going to be for days. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Count every vote. Honk those horns. Thank you, thank you. Count every vote. Thank you, thank you. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Count every vote. That's right. Who would have thought? Honk those horns. You know, Nixon was crooked, but he wasn't like this. Nixon was bad. He was one of the worst. But he wasn't like this. Honk those horns. Like when they was getting ready to impeach Nixon, Nixon wouldn't even let them impeach him. He said, I'm out. Y'all not gonna impeach me, I'm out. Nixon wasn't talking about, I ain't gonna peaceful trade. No, they said, we gonna impeach. No, he said, I'm out. Y'all not gonna impeach me. He said, I'm not gonna have that asterisk next to my name. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Every vote must be counted. Every vote must be counted. Honk those horns. Every vote must be counted. That's why we out here. Count every vote. Count every vote. We will not accept anything less. Count every vote. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Thank you, thank you. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Thank you, thank you. Count every vote. Every vote must be counted. See, now you see how civil wars get started, right? This is how it was in the 19th century. America was divided. They were like really divided on the question of slavery. States' rights, it was really another term for slavery. What was their right? What was the right they was fighting for? The right to have slaves. But they didn't want to say that, so they said states' rights. You know, what the Bible called man-stealers. But anyway, the country was, thank you, honk those horns, honk those horns, honk those horns. The country was really divided. Let's hope that we don't go there. I've never seen so much talk about civil war than I have in the last 6 months. Every day there's an article, this or that white supremacist organization talking about there's going to be a civil war if Trump's not elected. It's been quiet, but this might be the quiet before the storm, right? I hope not. But the problem is that too many of these white supremacists have infiltrated law enforcement. And that's according to the FBI. FBI report said at all levels. But maybe this is what had to happen in order for us to kind of have a little bit of appreciation for what we got, right? I mean, it's far from perfect. I mean, like, we really got to change it, but we don't want to go the other way. Honk those horns, honk those horns, honk those horns. Count every vote. 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 Honk those horns. Thank you, thank you. Count every vote. You know, after all of this is over, and hopefully when the COVID is lifted and we can come back together, we need to have a meeting just to talk. Just to talk. We don't have to make no decisions. Just to talk about what happened in the last year. Like, why did this happen? And how do we stop it from happening again? Because it's going to happen again if we don't make some changes. See, honk those horns, honk those horns. See, he wasn't stupid. Trump's not a stupid guy. People say Trump is stupid. He's not stupid. He's not stupid. He might be boorish. He might be brutish, but he's not stupid. But what if we get someone more sophisticated than that next time? You know, like a Romney, but with Trump's politics, like smooth like Romney, but with Trump's politics. We have a hard time. We have a real hard time. You know, someone that doesn't cuss, that doesn't grab women's private parts, that doesn't talk about S-hole countries, that doesn't talk about gay people. Honk those horns, honk those horns, count every vote. But if we got somebody like that, we'd have a hard time. Look what it took. I mean, if we get rid of Trump, look what it took. Honk those horns. 235,000 people had to die. Do you think Trump would be in trouble now if it hadn't been for COVID? If the COVID hadn't come, the election would have been over last night. All right, power to the people. It would have been over. Trump would have got the 270 last night. It took 235,000 deaths, 9 million COVID infections for people to say, maybe this is not the right guy. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. If the COVID hadn't come and the economy hadn't gone south, Trump would be reelected right now. He'd been reelected right now. Wouldn't be no question. It took all them people to die, all them people to get sick, all them people to lose their jobs and their health insurance. White supremacy is something. And what do we call it when some black people be confused? Is that white supremacy in reverse? What do we say to our confused? Because there be some people, they be ready to fight for Trump. They'll argue with you and get mad and want to fight you about Trump. What is it called? Self-disorder? Anti-self-disorder. Honk those horns, 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 honk those horns. And why so many of the immigrant brothers and sisters be voting for Trump? Because they be like fighting dictators in their country, and then they come here and then they want to vote. I mean, not all of them, but you know some of them. Just like some of us voted for Trump. Some of us voted for Trump. I think when all the votes are counted, it's going to be around 8%. But that's about what he got before. About 6% of black people voted for Trump the first time. They came up to me, talking about we need a businessman. Well, but do you need a businessman that bankrupted all his companies? Can't you get a successful businessman? Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Honk those horns. Count every vote. You know, we gotta build a movement. We need people we can really count on, like a lot of them too. Like, there should be as many demonstrations about this as there were for George Floyd. If not more. But we gotta cultivate, we gotta recruit, cultivate, build up a movement so that when it's time to come out, we bring out large numbers of people. Honk those horns, count every vote. Thank you, Trans. Count every vote. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. You notice how all the bus drivers honk? We get good support from the bus drivers. Right? Most of them honk. The few don't. Most of them do. A few of them be like, when they get close, they hold on to the steering wheel. They hold on harder. You know, no, I ain't gonna honk. Count every vote. Trump must go. Count every vote. Thank you. Count every vote. Trump must go. Count every vote. Trump must go. Count every vote. Keep those signs. You can keep them. You don't have to give them. Thank you, honk those horns, count every vote. Thank you, transit. Thank you. See the bus drivers, honk those horns. Well, imagine if we could get that kind of support from a lot of different unions. Honk those horns. Honk those horns. We almost there. We're gonna wrap it up at 5 o'clock. Tell the police we're not gonna march today.
Why?
Why not?
That's right. It's a nice day too.
It would look kind of sparse. It would look kind of sparse. There's only about
25.
25? Yeah, that would look kind of sparse. Don't worry, there'll be another march. We might have to do this again. What if Trump issues an order to seize all ballots that are still in post offices? Could he do that? Could he issue an order to federal marshals to seize ballots that have not been delivered, that are like in the post offices? He can't do it? He can't do it? Well, I'm glad to hear that. Huh? Who's ready to strike? AFL-CIO is going to strike if he makes that move? Right on. I'm down with that. I want to be there. Maybe this is the thing that will finally get the working class moved. Maybe this is it. We've been waiting a long time. We've been waiting since 1933. That was the last time the working class was on the move. They were striking everywhere. Scared Roosevelt to death. Roosevelt said, well, we got to do something. All right, let's make Social Security. Let's make unemployment insurance. Let's put some regulations on the banks. Because there was no regulation. That's why there was a depression. There was no regulation on the banks. Honk those horns. Trump must go. Count every vote. Count every vote. You know, there's never been a general strike in the United States. Never. A general strike. Honk those horns. Thank you. Honk those horns. Count every vote. Honk those horns. You know, people think I'd be discouraged when it's not a lot of people. I got a secret. I'm not discouraged. I'm happy for one. I'm happy for 100. I'm happy for 1,000. Honk those horns. Trump must go. That's right. Count every vote. Count every vote. Because that book says, wherever 2 or 3.
Come on now.
Honk those horns. Count every vote. Count every vote. Honk those horns. Trump must go. If they count every vote, he will be gone. Brother Zaire, come on. Get some of this mic before we get out of here at 5 o'clock. Well, say it again. Say it again. You done said every damn thing. What I put y'all leave before. Trump must go! 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 In democracy, you have to do a little math. And the math says, Whoever has the most wins. Right now, a dude named Joe Biden got some 70 million people that voted for him. And this other dude, the one with the orange hair, always be causing problems, messing with people, costing people their jobs, stealing votes, lying. Dude with the orange hair only got 66 million. That means he's 4 million short. That means we shouldn't have to do this.
My brother.
That means we could be home having supper.
How your press conference go?
Like what Americans used to do.
No.
I'm trying to laugh, but this is cold serious. We may have to do this again. He's got his lawyers lined up on several points of attack. He didn't stack the Supreme Court and the federal courts for recreation. Not only, even if he loses, they still have the Senate also, and we still have to fight the continued advance of the right wing. Yeah, we do. We have to put some pressure on the new guy, the old new guy. We got two old white men duking it out. Two old white men. Right? Right? We gotta put some pressure on
That's right.
Biden, Harris so-called team. Pull all them troops
Trump must go.
out of those military. That's right, blow them goddamn horns. That's right. Turn it up. Those of you who are new to what we do, you might not know that some years ago, in the throes of an ugly recession, you had this, what was the name of it, Ingrid? 381 days. 381 days economic justice.
Hey,
We were out here. Rain, snow, sleet, cold, 381 consecutive days. Plus, right?
right.
To condemn the bailing out of the banks. To condemn the bailing out of the corporations. When the people were not getting bailed out. We're in a similar paradigm right now.
Right.
Even you got over 40 million people out of work. 40 million out of work. And you got governors, Democrats, and Republicans not willing to sign housing relief bills to make sure those people are all right.
No, we don't walk in the street.
So if you think you're not in the beginning of a depression, you're out of your damn minds. Because if those homes break, and all of those people who have been put out of work lose their homes, where are they going to be? They're going to be all in the damn street. They ain't going to be singing. They ain't going to be dancing. They ain't going to be shining shoes. They ain't going to be cleaning up garbage. They're going to be a problem. Kind of problem that you associate with a full-fledged depression. This shit ain't over. This ain't over. Yeah, Trump must go, but he is a symptom of the broader disease of white supremacy and global capitalism.
Talk about it.
And it's that what we must have to fight. It's a symptom
Indeed.
of the advance of the right wing, and it is that we must have to fight. McConnell and his countrymen are still there. The courts are stacked to still undo all of those gains. There are people who fought hard for them in difficult times that we knew before this. Times that some of you are too young to remember. Y'all might not remember what it's like to have your behind taken to the back of a bus. Y'all might be too young to know what it's like to have some police ready to crack your skull if you walking on the wrong side of the damn street. Some of us are old enough to remember that. Some of us know what it looks like to have somebody hanging from a damn tree. From a damn tree. Just because they're black. Some Some of us remember that. But those of you who think voting doesn't matter, why they cut us? Oh. Why they... Demo, I know you mentioned what's the woman's name out of New York, Letitia James? She can kiss my West African behind. Let me tell you about that Uncle Tom. Jalil Muttaqin, one of our Panther political prisoners. See, I remember 1969. It was called Operation New Kill when they started to destroy the New York chapter of the Black Panther Party. 1969, 28 Panthers were killed, and a whole lot are still in prison. Jalil Muttaqin was swept up in that, in prison for 49 years, given a release by a white Sullivan County judge, and Letitia James went into court and blocked it. The man caught COVID and damn near died in prison. Damn near died in prison. So no, we gotta back up some people. We gotta back up the class traitors, the house Negroes of our people. We gotta put them behinds on blast too. It ain't just a skin thing, it's a class thing. We know something about house Negroes in this town because we had our share. Yeah, we had. Okay. We gotta turn it up on them too. So let's keep turning it up. We still got to get our young, continue to organize and mobilize and agitate. We got this new generation that needs to rise. I mean rise. All those things that they're talking about is right. Defunding the police is right. Doing something, healthcare for everybody is right. Right? Socialism that is not killing people, that gives everybody free shot at education, free shot at solid housing, free shot at healthcare is right. Democracy where there is no electoral college is right. Biden got 70 million votes. Trump got 64. Trump wants to ride the electoral college, hijack that, and take the election. He's got experience. He's not a rookie. He did that in 2016. Hillary, the devil in the blue dress, Clinton, that's what she is, a devil in the blue dress. I voted for her too, so I can call her that. Won by 3 million votes. But she lost the electoral vote, electoral college. Trump hijacked that and went on into the White House. Trying to keep us, put us in the outhouse like we haven't seen being in the outhouse in a long time. Right? In a long time. But we gotta fight. We gotta resist. Richest country in the world has got the smallest union movement in the world. Something wrong with that. Richest country in the world got the worst environmental regulations in the world. Something wrong with that. The richest country in the world got the most black and brown people locked up in prison. Something wrong with that. Right? I see you, son. Right? Richest country in the world, all these fundamental contradictions. Got the most indirect, clumsy, hypocritical, paid off notions of so-called democracy in the world. Something wrong with that. If it's the elections matter, voting matters, it should be direct elections. Direct elections, right? It should be a matter. Nobody should have to worry about their right to vote in a democracy. I don't care where you at. I don't care what country you live in or from. If democracy is the matter, if democracy is real, you should not ever have to worry about your right to vote. Here we are in 2020, facing legal hijack of our right to vote. It ain't over. This sucker's gonna try and take this into court and steal this damn election. We may have to do this again, and we're gonna need a whole lot more people out here when we do. It is not over. Biden should win tonight. Michigan and Wisconsin and Nevada, they come through for him according to their laws and their customs and their electoral college. He should win. But we haven't seen a beast, a fascist, a racist, an anti-democrat like this in a long time. He's got some other things in the mix. And he's got help. He's got Mitch. He's got Amy. Right? He's got, what's the other one that they put in before him? Kavanaugh. He's got Cav. He's got a gang all set up. They're trying to hijack this to let us not take this moment slightly, because Mr. Biden right now has a 4 million, man, this drives me nuts. Just because he's only ahead by 4 million votes. Only ahead by 4 million votes. I would rather be some curry gold rice and peas and some cabbage and some spinach and some salt, and not worry about you crazy Americans eating supper. No, we got to do this bullshit because we got a fascist that's in large control. This is a terrible time, y'all. This is a great time, right? What we should be looking at and should be looking for is the end of this order as we know it. As we look at these two old white men, all due respect to Joe Biden, we should be looking at the end of that and the beginning of something else. We should be looking at the beginning of something that looks more like the country, something that sounds and acts more like AOC and Rashida Tlaib and our sisters who be turning it up. That's what we should be looking at. That's where we should be looking to go, right? We should be looking at something that puts the earth and its value first, so we can all live. So we don't have to worry about our wildlife catching fire and being on fire, but not just days at a time, but weeks and months at a time, and people's very lives and air being choked out of their damn brains. No, there are some very specific places that we need to be going with this. We need to be getting rid of the electoral college. The electoral college that gave privilege benefits to slave masters and slave states. That's where it comes from. If slavery is over, the electoral college should have went in the toilet bowl with the end of slavery. Time for the electoral college to go is now. And it's only going to go when you and I make it go away. So yes, count every single vote. Everyone. Everybody that voted early, those votes should have been counted already. This thing is so backwards. So backwards. Those who voted first, their votes get counted last. Tell me what kind of sense that makes. Makes not a goddamn bit of sense. And still, we're up by 4 million votes, but that doesn't matter until we make it matter. We got to get ready to really look at what is next on the horizon. What are we going to do if this thing gets stolen? We got to organize in ways that we haven't organized before. Right on. In 1969, that Nixon year that Anima was talking about, was a year that the Black Panther Party called for a national united front against fascism.
That's right.
I dare say we need to do one of them again. Whether Biden wins or Trump wins, we need a united front against fascism, because the right wing is still in charge of the Senate. They still got the federal courts. They still got the Supreme Court. They got all of that. We still got the police. Oh yeah. Oh, you thought I wasn't going to talk about them today? They're still killing our people in the street like a damn dog. Walter Williams in Philadelphia. The whole block is telling him he's having some mental problems. Don't kill him. brotherly love of hell and shot that boy to pieces just a few days ago. Just a few days ago, 14 times. But listen to this. Here's a young man who I know, who I've marched with, who belongs to the Philly Black Radical Collective by the name of Anthony Smith. Wasn't the Philadelphia police, federal police, the feds went to his house, pulled him out of his house, and charged him with torching a police car. This kid is sweeter than a cherry pie. A teacher in Philadelphia, right? A young organizer trying to find his voice. He is not even in a holding cell somewhere in Philadelphia. They already put him in a federal prison in Pennsylvania called Allenwood, U.S. prison penitentiary. Sundiata Coley was in Allenwood for over 20 years.
More.
Boy ain't been in court yet. And they got him in Allenwood. See, this is the kind of, but that's the kind of mentality that's in charge of law enforcement in this country. Not just coming after anybody that's black, not just coming after criminality, but coming after those of us there to dissent. And we are all here today because we dare to dissent. Ted Click over there is fasting because he dares to dissent, right? We dare to dissent. So we cannot, it ain't just about who gonna win and who gonna lose this goddamn election. It's for the very direction of the historical moment that is in my hands. You're in my hands.
Come on now.
We must dare to dissent. We must protect the right of everybody who dares to dissent. We must come to the aid of anyone who has been captured because they dare to dissent. We must understand that the right to dissent is one of the bulwarks of any semblance of any genuine democracy based on the premise of human rights. Human rights. So we got a lot to fight for. We got a lot to fight against. This is our time. Especially the time of our young. I get angry when I hear old heads my age and up, criticizing how young folks are in the street day after day, turning it up over these pigs killing our people in the streets. So where else they supposed to be? Why you ain't out there with them? Right? You can't stand it. Get them some goddamn water. Right? Bring out that damn fry. Give them something. They supposed to be out there. And those same young people who y'all said wasn't gonna vote, guess what? They did. And they have. And they organized around that. They were in those lines. They were amongst those who voted early. They were helping people get to the polls. They were helping those same old crazy old folks who didn't know how to fill out the mail or the ballot, Ingrid. Yes. A new day is coming. A new generation is coming. And if we want the kind of world that they deserve, then we need to be out there making sure that they have the right to be able to make that world happen. Oh yeah. New day is coming. That's the only reason I'm still out here. Because I want a better world for my children. Only reason I'm still out here. Because I believe it's about trying to make the world better, trying to make things better, trying to bring good into the world. We're just here because we're here. What is our purpose in this thing in space called life on this earth? You ain't figured that out yet in this day and time. You need to go home and read some books. And read some good books. We give you a list. We give you some good books. So, as we get ready to wind down, be vigilant. Help those who are getting ready to, who are doing their thing, to continue to do those things. Right? decided to strengthen, to put teeth back in the Voting Rights Act. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2012. First chance that soon as they got a majority on that Supreme Court, that's the first thing they went after. The first thing they went after. Shelby versus Alabama 2012 took the guts out of the strength of the Voting Rights Act. And there should have been mass mobilization and hell-raising then. But y'all were too busy giving Mr. Obama a pass, all due respect. Should have started turning it up there. Turning it up. No, there's some very specific places that we need to go in this historical moment to be the difference we dare to see, to be the change that we need to be, and to make the difference that matters for those behind us. You ready to wrap it up, sir? All right. Everybody say all power to the people. All power to the people. Trump must go. Trump must go. Trump must go. Trump must go. Count every vote. 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 Seize the time. This is your time. We'll seize the world. All right, everybody. You can bring it in. You can keep the posters, the banners. Bring the banners in, but you can keep the posters. I hope everybody signed in because we may have to do this again, but who knows? Maybe by Monday this will all be over.
You're going to need a ride or you good?
We'll see.
You're going to need a ride or you good?
We'll see.
Am I leaving?
But I want to say this for the record.
Are you going to need a ride or you good?
No matter who's in office, the struggle continues. Believe me, it is not going to be heaven under Biden-Harris regime. But we'll take Biden-Harris over Trump, and then we'll struggle with them. So I don't want anybody to think that we don't think that we're going to have to fight. No, whoever the president is, you know we're going to have to fight. So, but Trump has got to go. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think he's on the way out. All right, thank you for coming. I don't want anybody staying out here in the dark, and I don't want anybody to get cold and get sick.
Ingrid.
Great. Steve,
Oh,
hard to go.
Ingrid.
Hard to go. Oh, the other Steve. Steve Bernhardt. Steve, I gotta talk to you. But we don't have to talk now, but we need to talk.
Hello, y'all two gotta get out of the way. Ingrid. Whoa. Yeah, it's right there in the way of the camera.
Send it to me.
Chairman Hamm of POP wrapping it up with, yes sir, with Vote Must Count March. We're ending it right now. Count every vote march. Again, this is Zachariah Jackson, BASA News. Good night.